I'm back. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Emma and I am currently pregnant with my first little one on the way, due in October of this year, which is 2020. It has been a hot minute since I posted a video. So as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, I posted a few videos a few weeks in a row, and it has been like, I don't even know how long. My last video that I posted, I think like 6 or 7 weeks pregnant. It was right after my first doctor's appointment, which I was 6 weeks when I went to that doctor's appointment, and I am now 14 weeks pregnant. So it's been a little while, but I am back, and today I'm going to be doing a first trimester update. I'm filming a few different videos today so that I can have a few things uploaded and upload a little bit more consistently in the next few weeks. That's kind of my goal. But the most important thing to me is to do my first trimester update, because I want this documented, because already, like every week, I've written down my symptoms from the week, and already just in preparing for this video, I went back and was looking at it, and like my symptoms from week like 3, 4, 5, like it just seems so long ago, and I can barely even remember that now, and I'm sure in a few years, like there's no way I'm gonna remember that. So I'm so glad that I'm filming this and I'm just gonna remember, everything because I have it documented. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump on in to my first trimester update, and I'm gonna go through my week by week symptoms, talk about a few different milestones that I've hit, and then at the end, even though I'm 14 weeks now, so I am into my second trimester, I'm gonna show you a little bump update to kind of get a baseline for where we're starting for the second trimester, so we can see how it progresses. And I've been taking a bump picture every week, so I will put those on the screen so you can see the little week by week progression. So let's go. Okay, so my week by week little symptoms that I have written down start at 2 weeks pregnant, which basically I started with the week before I got the positive pregnancy test, which I actually wrote like after the fact. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm pregnant, let me write down these symptoms. But after I got the positive and I knew that I was gonna wanna write down the week by week, I went back and wrote the week before kind of what I was feeling before I had those symptoms. So I have talked about these things in my like earliest pregnancy symptoms, how I knew I was pregnant video, but I'm just gonna do it here so that it's all in one. So week 2, or the week before I found out I was pregnant, I had big and painful boobs. Now, big boobs is obviously relative. What's big for me may not be big for you, because my baseline is like pretty much flat-chested. But to me, my boobs felt really big and really painful. Now, I also get this with ovulation, so I didn't know that this was a pregnancy symptom, because I get this really bad like around the time of ovulation, really up until I get my period. But my boobs were that really like, I don't know if you can relate to this, but that heavy feeling, like just heavy and very, very painful. I was also extremely hungry. I was having very vivid dreams. Like, I always kind of have vivid dreams, but these were really weird dreams and kind of scary dreams. Like, I was having dreams about like bombings and shootings and things like that, just very vivid, like scary dreams that I would wake up from and kind of be like. The other thing is that one thing I talked about in my previous video was that a few smells smelled really bad for me, and the number one being ground turkey whenever my husband was cooking it. Thankfully, this has gone away because it's like a staple in our diet, but my husband was cooking it and it just like made me want to gag. I had to get out of there whenever he was cooking. But the ground turkey smell, and and I tried to have a couple glasses of wine, and I just took a few sips and was like, why is this so disgusting to me? Like, it just really tasted off. And so alcohol sounded gross and smells were a little weird for me. Week 3 was the week that I got my positive pregnancy test. It was very crampy, had a lot of cramps, and this lasted for the next few weeks, as you'll see, but I was very, very crampy. In week 3, my boobs were still really big and painful, and I was still very hungry. Week 4, boobs were still hurting, I was still hungry, and I put exclamation points by hungry. Very hungry in week 4, apparently. Very sleepy, I put sleepy with exclamation points. I put all caps, nipples hurt. So I guess I was having really painful nipples at that time. I was breaking out, and I do remember this. I was having really bad skin, which is kind of weird because the timing kind of lines up with whenever your period was coming. But yeah, I was really breaking out, having a lot of cramps as well. So still, if I hadn't got that positive pregnancy test, I really would have expected that my period was coming. Though the early pregnancy symptoms and period symptoms, very, very similar for me at least. 5, boobs still hurting, still having breakouts, and then I wrote a general unwell feeling. So I wrote that I was feeling tired, just queasy, just that general, almost like whenever you kind of have like a cold coming on or something, just a general unwell, tired, bad feeling is kind of how I felt in week 5. And I forgot to add that I also was having headaches. Headaches around week 5 and 6 and 7 were really bad for me. I would wake up with them and they literally would not go away all day long. So week 6, I started feeling some nausea, especially whenever I was hungry or it had been too long since I was eating. I wrote that my skin started to kind of clear up, but then towards the end of the week, my skin had a couple more breakouts, that I was having a lot of food aversion. So I think this is really common whenever you're feeling nauseous and stuff, but literally nothing sounded good. The only thing I wanted to eat was like tortillas, chips, and crackers. Like that was it, just like very simple carbs. I was very gassy and constipated this week. Very glamorous symptoms, I know. I also, because I went to the doctor's office, got my starting weight. So I wrote down my starting weight here so that I would have something to go off. Sorry if I keep looking this way. This is where my computer is with all my notes on it. I wrote that I was having headaches, which I already mentioned. And then I wrote with the nausea that I was having heaving. And so you'll see that I didn't have actually any throwing up until later in the trimester, but at that point I was having some heat. In week 7, I actually had a couple of days where I was feeling really good, and it was kind of an eerie feeling for me. I felt like almost like I was very, very anxious about a miscarriage because I felt like I wasn't having any symptoms of pregnancy anymore. And this lasted almost the entire week. Except for like one of the last couple of days of the week was like very hard for me. I can't remember if it was like day 6 or 7 of week 7, but it was like I was nauseous, I was exhausted, like I just felt terrible on one day, and I was like, okay, I guess I am still pregnant, and that kind of assuaged my fears a little bit. But there was a solid like 5 or 6 days where I totally felt like myself and I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms. And whenever you are so early in your pregnancy, it's a very weird and eerie feeling to just feel totally normal. And on that very hard day that I mentioned, I was like tired, the queasy, like just feeling bad. I was also very crampy that day. On week 8, I wrote infrequent nausea and infrequent cramping. So I was having both of them, but not all day or every day, just intermittently. I was having some nausea and some cramping. And then I also wrote sore nipples and tired. So those kind of symptoms kind of made their way back to me, and this is not the last time I will see them either. Week 9, again, I wrote infrequent cramps, very tired, but feeling mostly like myself. So in week 10, I actually threw up twice. So before that, I had been having just nausea without throwing up, but in week 10, I did throw up twice. I don't think it was 2 days in a row. I think that there was a day in between the 2 times that I threw up, but I did throw up twice, which was very surprising because I had felt like my nausea wasn't really super frequent and had actually become less frequent. So I felt like I'm coming closer to the end of the trimester. Maybe I'm kind of getting over the nausea. Nope, back with a vengeance. Threw up twice. But I wrote, again, infrequent cramps, that they were, getting less and less frequent by week 10. In week 11, I wrote hot flashes. So that was the first time that I experienced kind of that hormonal, like, hot and sweaty feeling. I felt it a couple times at work, an environment that I'm usually actually cold in, like wearing more than one jacket. And I was just sweating and like wanting to take my jacket off and stuff like that. And then also there was one day at home, which normally at home I'm in like sweatpants or long pants, and I might wear my robe or I'm covered up in a blanket. But it was like, I actually still had the AC on. Like my apartment was set on like 68. And literally I stripped down to like my bra and underwear, and I was like, I'm so hot. Why am I so hot in this apartment right now? So I did have 2 or 3 like actual hot flashes that week. I also started being very thirsty, which has pretty much lasted since then. Week 11 was like noticeable increase in thirst, but since then I have just been drinking more water because I have been more thirsty and wanting more water lately. And then I also wrote that I threw up once in week 11 as well. So week 10 I threw up twice, week 11 I threw up once. And then during week 11, I actually got a call from my doctor's office saying that my urine specimen that I had given them whenever I went to get my blood drawn that week showed that I had a UTI, so they started me on an antibiotic, and I took that for the next week. So I did have a UTI. I wasn't having any UTI symptoms, but I did have a UTI, and I took an antibiotic for the next week at that point. 12, the final week of my first trimester, I wrote that I was peeing often, that I finally went to the doctor's office and heard my baby's heartbeat, which isn't like a symptom, but it is a milestone in my first trimester, which I was really, really excited about. Our baby's heartbeat was 159, so does that say that it might be a girl? I don't know. Can't wait to find out on that one, but heart rate was 159, and that sounded really, really good. I have been sleeping a ton, which of course we are in quarantine, so it could just be because I'm at home a ton, or I don't know, but I have been sleeping like 10 to 14 hours every night, like literally going to bed at midnight and sleeping until 11:30 the next day if I don't have anywhere to go. And then waking up and being awake for 3, 4, 5 hours and being like, I'm gonna take a nap now. Like I had just been sleeping a ton, which has been awesome because I have the time to do it. But yeah, sleeping a ton. So that concludes my first trimester. I'm now gonna show you a little belly shot, even though I am at 14 weeks now. I will show you on the screen my progress pictures from week 6 through week 12 because I started at week 6. So this is my belly at week 14. I do feel like it's noticeably rounder this week than it has been at all in the past. So this isn't really an indication of the first trimester, but this is where we're at and what we will compare to for the second trimester. So this is from the side, and then from the front, I just look like my normal self. But yeah, so I do have a little roundness here that wasn't here before that I'm very excited about. So that is gonna be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed my little first trimester update, my first video back in a while. I am really, really, really gonna make an effort to upload more consistently over the next few weeks. I am counting down until our gender reveal, which will happen for me around the first week of June. Hopefully I'll get it onto YouTube, you know, the next weekend or really shortly after. But so yeah, make sure that you subscribe and stick around so you can see all the exciting events and especially that gender reveal, so we'll know whether we're expecting a baby boy or baby girl. And then after that I'll do our name reveal, then we'll be able to start working on the nursery and stuff. So there's gonna be lots of exciting content coming up, so make sure that you subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'll put my handle here. It's at Emma Kate Springer. And that's gonna be it. See you next time. Bye.